when we inhabit this earth or go into this physical body, there's just a wee bit that comes in. They say like the whole body, but only the toe can come into this physical body. So all we are doing is we cross over, we're allowing more of who we are to inhabit this physical body. There's no ascension. We've already ascended.
Today's guest is Lynda Diane Nichols. Lynda is a spiritual intuitive, personal transformation thought leader, business strategist, conscious channel, and medical intuitive. As a professional intuitive and multisensory for over 45 years, Lynda has the ability to shed light on what often is hidden from view. She is a gifted energy alchemist with the ability to weave energy, allowing her to look at potential outcomes from choices that are being offered. Lynda has worked alongside a doctor as a medical intuitive until his transition, for law enforcement, one government agency, and one branch of the military as a business consultant. Let me say that again. And as a business consultant, she served as an advisor for 2 law firms from 2008 to 2017. Currently, she is a global advisor to a number of professionals in the media, medicine, law, government, science, renewable energy, as well as individuals from all walks of life. Her primary focus, though, is on providing accurate life guidance and universal understanding to those who seek to change and heal their lives. She is passionate about supporting individuals who are ready to create a better and more emotionally satisfying life by showing them how to connect with their soul and discover their inner power and purpose. Welcome to the show, Lynda.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, having read that bio, it is extraordinary. It is remarkable. I was really eager to meet. And for those listening, Lynda and I have started to chat, as I do with all my guests, setting the stage for how this conversation should go. And what I learned is that it would be important for Lynda to share her intention in this time, her preparation, and how she will be showing up as I ask questions and give her the floor.
Thank you. As we speak and go through this, you'll be speaking not only to me, but also to Thomas, and that is a collection of energies that have never incarnated. So it's much like those that you've heard before with messages. So you'll be speaking to both of us at the same time, and we'll bring forward anything that we feel pertinent. And what they just said to me is there may be things that seem to be focused or directed to those in the audience, and the answer is yes, they will, because they know who's here and they know who needs to hear a particular message. So they would be honored to be able to convey that to those people or that individual, however it may show up.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's another way of grounding this, because you are part of this 45 years of experience. How did this show up in your life? Is this something that you've had since childhood, or can you tell a little bit about the origin story of how this came into being?
In a Nazarene church in the Midwest, at an altar call, I was sitting with my grandmother, and of course, you know, if you go back to that time, they ask people to come down front if they want to be saved, and I slid down and went down there, and I just started absolutely weeping, and a spirit being, energy, force came to my right side and started to speak to me and basically laid out my life path. And that particular guide has been with me from then on. And so basically, you know, growing up, it was, I could see things, hear things, know things, but, you know, being a kid, you just are being a kid. And then when I was about 15, 16, it became so in my face that I couldn't avoid it anymore. So I tried to find answers, and there's nothing out there, because we're talking, this is like in the early 60s. And the books that were out at that time was by Ruth Montgomery, and she started to do automatic writing and channeling someone named Arthur Ford. So I devoured all her books and learned about walk-ins and all of that, and then the Seth material. And then when in 1973, it became so overpowering and frightening for me that I had to find answers. So I absolutely, basically, quote unquote, ran away from home. And I was married and I had a newborn. And I told my husband, I said, I'm going crazy and I have to find answers. So I left and I sought out any type of religious leader, spiritual advisor, anything. I didn't care the denomination, and traveled around and was asking questions and trying to find answers. And finally, I just sat down and I heard, if you don't go within, you go without. So the answers were within. So I started to sit and listen. And from that, everything that I ever needed or wanted was there. All I had to do was ask.
What kind of questions did you start by asking?
Why was I here? Why was I having the experiences that I was having, which was energy showing up, seeing things, being touched by things, knowing things, going into other dimensions, and they explained all of it to me, what I was doing. So those types of questions of why am I having these experiences and what's the purpose of them?
And I know those are huge questions. Can you share a little bit about what you learned in response about why you were here and having these experiences?
I guess to be, basically the word is a lighthouse. But they also told me it would not be easy. And they said in order to serve those, you have to be in the trench, meaning there again, I need to experience loss. I need to experience problems, situations, things that, we each have in our day-to-day life. Because if I could not relate to that, how could I serve others? And so they told me it would not be easy. I would be alone most of my life. Even, a couple of near-death experiences, I had to go through the gamut, to be honest, in order to be, of service.
So
and
you've
the
had
near-death where, there again, it's, each was unique and different, and there again, so that I could understand that it wasn't cookie cutter. Near-death experiences, there again, occur to those in the manner that they occur to those, to support them,
yes.
to give them insight so that they can come back and get back on their journey that they came here to do. And a lot of times, why that occurs is it's basically a correction. It's to service. And sometimes when it occurs there again, if that is too big of a challenge, then, you're allowed to stay, because we all have multiple exit points.
Yeah.
And it's not the same number for each person. It depends. Just like there are awakening codes. Not everybody has an awakening code. And some have more than one awakening code. So it's unique to the person. So I was told that in order to serve, I have to go through a lot of training, if you will, by experience.
By experience, and often challenging.
Yes, most time challenging.
Most time
Because
challenging.
life
The
is
empathy.
challenging most of the time.
It is. And I'm hearing it's carving this deep well of empathy for the suffering of others so that you can connect with them. And your near-death experiences, I love how you say that, because the more I'm learning and hearing and studying, it is almost like whatever people experience, see, feel, it is so customized, like the avatar that they need to see, whether that's Buddha or Jesus or light or someone who's passed on. It's not cookie cutter.
No.
Yeah.
We're each unique.
Mm-hmm.
So everything has to be catered to us and as an individual.
Mm.
And it is. If
Yeah.
people realized how much work goes in behind the scenes for us to live a life that we chose before we got here, I think they would be a lot more respectful to that energy that is supporting us and to honor ourselves a little more too. And to learn to trust ourselves. That's the problem. People don't trust that's coming through. And that's probably one of the most important things that I try to convey is listen to that voice because it will always guide you in the right direction. And there's a barometer to that is how you feel. And that's one thing that the universe gave us is a sense of truth through how we feel about things. When we get out of the way of clutter and, the external programming. And so that's why they said in the beginning for me, if you don't go within, you go without. So learning how to go within and trust that is like clearing the minutiae out of the way and hearing that voice that is yours. So that's so important for each one.
Yeah. How does one clear the minutia? How do they clear the clutter? Do you have
It's
any
unique to
practical?
each person
Okay.
because you don't, each person, again, you don't know what their experience is, and there's layers upon layers upon layers. But there's so many modalities now to assist with that. And that's one of the things that I can do is look at a person and when I say look at a person, I see the person, but it's through the eyes of Thomas. And Thomas will come back and say, this person has this and this, and he will tell me, and I use the term he, they will tell me basically what modalities to suggest to the client. So over 40 plus years, I have resources. I'm kind of like Walmart. Whatever you need, or Costco, I can point you in the direction of who might be of service to you, or what modality, or what book, or maybe you should purchase a tuning fork. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That we're never short of. We never know not what not is available. They always know. Like for instance, for some people, that it's best to do things as gently as possible. And I'm really a big proponent of that, meaning there again, and I'm kind of getting off track. And this is what, again, as I said to you earlier, if they want to interject something, which they're doing right now,
Good.
is we're not a big proponent of talk therapy. And the reason is the more you talk about something, the more you fuel it and feed it, and you get it back exactly what you're trying to get rid of. That's not to say that you don't address it or you speak about it, but you don't live there and keep regurgitating it. So there's lots of modalities where it's sometimes you need to voice it so that you become aware of it, that could be troublesome, and address it. But there's so many things that can be done where it's very passive, and that's what my clients love, is that they can move past this, move out of this, and release this and let it go, and it doesn't have to be, cumbersome or uncomfortable. It's just a being open and available and ready to do it. But you have to be ready to let go of your story. And most of the time, we don't know what our story is.
Well, let's stay there. When you say story, there's the life story. I was born in this town, with this family, and these challenges. But there's also the soul story.
Right.
Tell me what you mean by story and the readiness to let go of it.
Usually this happens, between, a toddler, let's say, and to maybe 7 years old, that you're programmed by external things, and that's everything around you. So that becomes our beliefs, and our beliefs create our stories. That's on a subconscious level. And that's really what dictates our life. That's what rules our life, whether we realize it or not. That, we think we're making a choice to turn right and it's free will, when a lot of times it isn't. And because it comes back to the old programming that's there. So once we start discovering the why behind that, the unknown, then we can address it and release it and let it go. Now that's on a subconscious level, but on the conscious level, sorry,
That's all right.
on a conscious level, then that's our life experience. Hang on, I'm gonna have to.
That's okay. Do what you need to do. We can.
I'm gonna take it off the hook.
Okay.
I turned everything else off, but so on a conscious level, then we have these experiences that again are layer on top of that. So it's like you have to work through the layers with it. So you may go to someone and for say a healing modality that let's say myofascial release, and because you're having a pain, and that could be say from an experience, let's say a fight, and the trauma of that fight then lodges or it settles into the cells maybe of your hip or something like that. So there's lots of layers, and then but the problem with all of this is because we're not aware of that, then we start to blame ourselves, maybe because why can't I change here, or why can't I do that, or why do I self-sabotage?
Right.
So then we victimize ourselves with that. So that's what's going on today, is there's so many layers for people and there's no answers. And so it creates, mental instability and all of that. So what's happening now is basically there's a spotlight on this so that it can come to the surface and be made aware of, so that we can start healing and so that we can evolve as a planet and as humanity in general.
So what I hear you saying is this idea that it gets lodged or settled into the tissue. And then we have this pain or recurring difficulty, and it becomes like self-referential. It's an identity thing. What is wrong with me? And then we keep replaying these thoughts about our woundedness, our victimhood, and there we stay stuck, sort of perseverating, versus recognizing that there are ways to move that energy, and it's, in fact, a signal for attention.
It's a cry for help.
It's a cry for help. Okay.
That's the body and it's basically our soul, a way of speaking to us.
Which then gets to the medical intuitive stuff. So it's not just these arbitrary illnesses, but they are crying for help, saying, look here, pay attention, and now do something different. Don't just talk about it. And the healing just depends on who the person is.
The situation, so everything is unique to that person. What works for one person may not work for the other. So again, that's where we try to make everything cookie cutter, and a lot of times it creates a despair because it's like, well, what am I doing wrong?
Yes. Why isn't my body healing? And then
Exactly.
this adversarial relationship with our bodies.
Exactly.
So if someone doesn't have access to you or another healer, are there steps they can take? You talked about the intuitive voice, listening to that voice. And again, to access that voice, it could be meditation, it could be being in nature. All these resources are available.
Right.
Anything else that someone should be aware of to say, gosh, I've had this, that, or the other, and I don't want to be in this contentious relationship with my body. I want to heed the battle cry of my soul. What might someone do if they don't have access to someone like you?
There's lots of resources that are out there, and I'm going to name a few if I can. This is what Spirit says to do. Start going online and looking for resources. Plug it in that I'm having a hip pain or things like this, and put in alternative modalities, because these will start showing up. Like you'll have Reiki, you'll have body code, you'll have the motion code, belief code, all those things. The harmonic egg, There's so many things out there, and start just looking through those and pay attention. Like one this pops up and like, wow, I need to look further into that. That's your soul saying to you, pay attention, pay attention. You have some sort of resonance with this. So if you just start exploring and asking questions, because this is what's different now, is that we're at a high enough frequency now. If those are seeking, they're going to find their answers, because they're going to get the nudges. It's like, maybe I need to do this. And if they will just trust that, and basically, in other words, follow the breadcrumbs, keep following them, and don't have judgment about it, because I promise you, it'll lead you where you need to go for the resources, and whatever that resource looks like, whether it's a person, a modality, an environment, it doesn't matter. And it may be an array of things.
Right.
So all one has to do, this is what they're saying. You start asking, the answers will come. But it's up to you to listen for those answers and to trust them.
Yeah. God, I relate to that. I relate to that. Sometimes I just know. It's like a nudge. This feels right. This doesn't feel right. If I'm having any doubt, recognizing whether that's fear or if it's intuition has been a really important distinction.
How do you feel about it, though, when you have doubt? Do you pay attention what's going on in your body?
I'm starting to.
That's the number one thing. Your body is a lie detector. It will always tell you the truth. And if you pay attention, and it's either expansion or contraction. So if someone says something to you and you're like, wow, and you just kind of light up like, that feels good. That's a positive. If someone says something, you say, I don't think so. That's contraction. It's as simple as that. Pay attention to whether it expands or contracts.
Great. Great. Well, segueing a little bit, connecting with, and did you say, I forget the name, Arthur?
Thomas.
Thomas. Gosh.
And it's TOMAS, and it's what it means is together, one mind appearing separate.
Oh, wow. Okay, now I'll remember. Okay. Are there any messages coming through, because this is customized to the audience for what they need to hear?
Yes, there's one that this is for an individual, or it could be maybe more than one individual, that really needs to let go of the past, and they've started to do it, and now they're hesitating about it. And this is the suggestion when people start to get into this type of scenario. Your past doesn't equal your future. And they want to use a little analogy for some people that are trying to change or let things go. And this is a really easy little exercise, and it's simple, and it's kind of childish, but it's very effective. If someone would sit down and imagine the things that are bothering them or things they want to change about their life, is if they would imagine a little red wagon, like when you were a child and you had the wagon. And if they would go around and pick up those things, like rocks, that this is holding me down and this is holding back, and put it in the wagon. And just go around and think about those and gather all that up and take that wagon and pull it along and go to the edge of a cliff. And say, you know what, you've served me and I appreciate what you did for me, but you no longer are a part of my future and I need to release you. And just take that little red wagon and push it over the cliff and let it go. And see it just go down and become a part of, the canyon now. So that rock is serving in another place. So it's really transmuting it in a positive energy. It's nothing negative. It just no longer belongs to you. So give it back to the planet, or, and again, so if it's an emotion, give that energy back to the universe so that it can recycle it.
You're not the only one. We've had another guest, Christina Brinkley, also an intuitive, who said very similar thing, giving it back to the universe, giving it back to the earth. Yeah. It feels very important at the beginning of a year
Yes.
clear and make way for what is coming in, which leads to my next question. When you think collectively, if this question makes sense or is the right question, what is coming in collectively? Because there's so much we're moving through that feels important to share.
Try not to control things. And this is going to be probably a broader response than maybe that you were asking, but this is what they want to share, is this year, and it has to do with astrology and numerology and all this because they are energies, and it's the music of the universe. In other words, frequencies. So this year is, and again, I'm very careful about the words. Could be challenging, let's say the first part of the year, first half of the year, because of the way planets are moving things, and they do have influence on us. So it is, people are going to be asked to, well, I'll use their words, choose. You get to, this is the free will. You can choose whether you want to be part of the evolution of this planet or not. And what does that mean? That means, again, to try not to control anything, to be honest. And what they're really showing me is there's so many people out there that is trying to paint things differently than what they are. And what does that mean? That means that it, only if that person would wake up, and this is something we talked about earlier, if that person, and I need to bring that person along, and I need to help them to wake up and then have judgment about it. So if you're truly spiritual, it's not about doing, it's about being. And so tend to your own garden and learn to be more in the moment, be more of who you are, and ask yourself, what does that look like? And you're saying, well, I don't know how to do that. We all do. It's just that maybe we haven't been really clear on the method to do that. And that would be, is they're asking me to kind of explain some of the tools that I used. And one of the things is that I'm going to refer to other people because nothing's mine, and I haven't created anything new or discovered anything new. So all I'm doing is sharing things that I found that worked for me, that I was guided to. And your soul so badly wants to speak to you, but you need to give it time and a voice. And so that means make an appointment with it. And that, a lot of times, that's what people do with meditation. But I don't, in a lot of ways, with the new energies that's coming and the higher frequencies, it's not enough. Because you can get these insights, or your mind wanders and doesn't. But what I found is, and this is what Julia Cameron brought out. And it was called The Artist's Way. And this is decades ago. Yeah. But there again, people thought it was just for artists. No, it was about allowing us to open up as an individual to that streaming consciousness that is our soul or higher self that wants to speak to us. And so there's the book, The Artist's Way. So if you really want to know what your soul has to say to you, is you start practicing that. And that's sitting down and writing, what comes through. Because I'm not unique. What I do, anybody can do. But I've just listened, and I've given my soul the respect that all our souls deserve in time and attention to allow it to have a voice.
It reminds me, and I haven't thought about this in so long, but when I was in my 20s living in the Bay Area, I took a course, and it was called the Painting Experience. And basically it was like free writing, but it was free painting. And they said, just don't stop moving your hand. And just whatever comes, follow it. And even if you're afraid of it, go deeper. Just keep going and going. It was hours of this. And one day I drew a painting of a shipwreck, and it was underwater, and there was a severed leg. And on the back of the leg, I had drawn, or painted, a devil's face. And then a year later, I was diagnosed with melanoma, and the mole was on the back of the calf. But I had no idea. But that's your soul talking to you.
Exactly. Giving you insight, and it will do that with absolutely everything. But I have found, and there again, Julia has structured it so it's easy for anyone to do. You just got to commit to do it. And I promise you, then you can sit down, and this is how I do it now, is I have a notebook, and then I'll have a question that comes up, and I go to my notebook and I write it down, and it's on one page, and I leave it blank. I don't, that's my question. And for me now, what'll be, because I can be doing anything, then the answer will come. It'll come, and I can start writing it down. But for those that are just starting out, have a question at the top of the page, and then when you just start your session where you're doing it's really automatic writing, and you sit and write, and it'll start to answer those questions. And once you practice, then it's like you can, and it's like Neil Donald Walsh did. He got out a yellow pad and started writing questions down, and they started answering. This is exactly the same thing. So people can get answers to anything they're looking for. I promise you, you have the answers, and you have the ability to get the answers.
When someone is first starting off, how long should they, and again, it might be too prescriptive, too cookie cutter, but should it be at least 10 minutes or at least 20 minutes, or is it just paying attention?
What Julia says, just do 3 pages of longhand, whatever it is. Even if you start out complaining and you wake up and it's like, it's too early in the morning, I don't want to do this. I haven't had my coffee, and I just think this is bananas. And it doesn't matter. You just keep writing, and after a while, then you'll start getting information. So just do 3 pages longhand. That's it. You don't need to do any more, but do it consistently. And what happens is, like, you have an appointment with your higher self, and your higher self will start showing up.
That's great. That's really great.
Because you're honoring it. You're giving it. You're making it valued. I'm valuing this message that needs to come through me.
You're making it a priority. You
Absolutely.
prioritize so many things. You're making it a priority. Is there any question that I haven't yet asked that feels important to ask?
So is there anything they want to know? Yes, we're going to be okay. Majorly okay. Oh, this is what they want to do. They said, okay, guys, we're on one side. There's a river, and we're on this side and on this bank, and we want to get to the other side. And that's where we are right now. We're on the bridge. And please trust that this bridge only goes one way, and that's to the other side, meaning to our evolution, to our becoming more of who we really are. And that's really what the fifth dimension is this is what they want to say. It's really not an ascension. That's a misconception. What it is, that our totality, when we are just who we are already beyond all these dimensions. And so when we inhabit this earth or go into this physical body, there's just a wee bit that comes in. They say, like the whole body, but only the toe can come into this physical body. So all we are doing is we cross over, we're allowing more of who we are to inhabit this physical body. There's no ascension. We've already ascended.
Oh, gosh, that's great.
We are already there. We're just here learning to experience it and bring more of that in, because as we bring more of that in, then we connect and we feed the planet. So we're basically creating a system, a closed system that's all inclusive with the planet. And so what we're doing is creating a symphony. So just allow more of you to show up. That's all you have to do. And that's all the intent that you need to have. And trust it. And the bridge, there again, it may feel like it's unstable, a little wobbly. Trust it. Keep going. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. Don't buy into the fear. Don't digress. Don't listen to all the extraneous things that are going on around you, because that's simply the fear to hold us down and hold us back. But we win. We get to the other side. And they say, we promise you, it's everything that you feel or thought it could be and more. But we get there.
So that was beautiful. With your spiritual evolution, how often are you in the fifth dimension, or tell me how you move through the world with your state of evolution?
It's been different lately that, to be honest, a lot of times I have a hard time staying in my body. So I have to make a point to anchor myself. And because of the amount of work that I do, so most of the time of the day I'm already there. So I'd say 90% of the time I'm there. I don't really know how to answer that.
Are you there right now?
Yeah.
And when you're there, what is the experience if you were to compare feeling, I don't know if feeling is the right verb.
Yeah.
Okay. Feeling fifth dimension versus third dimension? How would you compare the two?
I don't question anything. There's a knowing. You live in knowing. You just absolutely know what you know, what you know. And when you have that confidence in anything and everything around you, that you're in peace all the time. You can observe other people and you want to share that or bring them into that as much as possible. It's just peace. But it's not peace in your mind. It's peace in every cell of your body, which is the difference. So my sense, and this is just my perception of this, and so take it with a grain of salt. Once you move into that, the other thing that can't survive is disease. Because the vibration of the disease has a lower vibrational frequency. If your organs and your physical being is vibrating at this, there's incongruency. There's no match. It can't live there. So that's one of the things that I feel. This is again my opinion. Is the more we move into that, then people are going to experience better health, better sense of well-being, mental acuity, all those things, because they're in alignment with themselves.
Gosh, it brings up so many questions for me, because I can just go there. I can feel that from you, and I can visualize that, right? Or I don't know, visualize, but I can empathize with my conception of that. And then the two things that come up for me as places of curiosity are there are multiple exit points, and we have, and tell me if this is your experience or not, soul's contracts to go through certain experiences to evolve and learn. How does that intersect with maybe you get a disease as a learning, or the exit point is a disease, or how does that make sense?
Yeah. So how do you reconcile that? Is that the question, really?
It's not reconcile as much as, is it possible to be living in the fifth dimension and your exit point is a disease, or your soul's contract is a disease?
If you're in the fifth dimension, there's not going to be multiple exit points.
Oh, that's the answer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Because through the third dimension. Because why do we have multiple exit points? Simply because maybe, and there's different answers. One could be is there again, you needed to have that near-death experience because you take away, so you're going to share it with other people to help those that are fearful of death. Okay.
Yeah.
You could have an exit point because some of the things that you've slated for this life are too much. And when you're there, you can say, you know what, I just can't do this. So you're given an option to stay or go. The thing of it is, and again, I'm saying these are my beliefs or my understandings, is no matter what the contract is, it can be broken. There is nothing that is, no, that particular contract can't be changed in this lifetime. That's not true. The reason is because we never end. So we have endless opportunities. It's not like it's one and done. So that's where the free will really comes into play, is we are not stuck with anything. And the magic of this life is, and one of the purposes, and people think the purpose is, this is what I should do. This is what I should be doing. It's not, nothing is about the doing, the nothing, and what it is about the being. So the purpose is to be in a state of knowing that there are no mistakes, and there's always a do-over. It may not be in this lifetime, but there's always takeaways from it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. And then comes to my question. I've heard some people say the reason for being here with these contracts, which I hear you say you can always break, there's always do-overs. We have multiple lives, so it's not like you're wasting any time. But this idea of wanting to evolve, wanting to move more into love consciousness, wanting to be less in fear, more in fifth dimensional at peace. Is it that we are here to learn or to experience? Like,
I'm glad you brought that up. We're not here to learn anything. We're here to experience, and from that experience we grow. And we can choose to repeat that experience. So it's not about learning, there again, because the English language or any language is limiting. So that's the best people can describe of what's going on. So again, that's go through your own filters, because you already have that answer, and say, does that feel true for me? That may be true for that other person because that's how they relate to it. That's how they have to filter it, and that's how they have to understand it. But is that true for you? So it's about accumulating experiences, because experiences create us to expand.
Positive and negative?
Yes, of course it does.
Okay. So time is running short, so I'm going to start asking some wrap-up questions. So it allows us to expand. We've had all these experiences. What is the purpose of this collective and cumulative human experiences? And some people call it source or the divine, and it continues to go on. I'm basically saying, what is the meaning of life? But I don't know how to say it other than saying, why are we here?
We chose to be here to bring okay. There's areas of the universe that have a slower frequency, which we would call the dark, or the absence of light. And it's like going into a house that all the lights are off. And we want to go in and illuminate each room. So in order to do that, there has to be someone that volunteers to go in and turn on that light switch. So we come as these beings to turn on the light on this planet or this part of the universe, to create light. So what our whole mission is, if you really want to have the word purpose, as a being, I'm not saying just a soul, but as a being, is to go and spread light.
Okay. And light, I hear,
is a higher frequency, and light, the more light you have, the more it embodies that love or that oneness or that completeness. And so there again, those areas that are dark, because even the dark has a consciousness.
mm-hmm.
And so what we're doing for them is for the dark to experience more of itself, and as it experiences more of itself, that creates the light because it's a higher frequency. So then it can experience more of just love. And I guess it's more than love. There's such a, this is my favorite word for things, contentment. To find some contentment, and that's really what each soul is looking for, is to right now is to find contentment with where they are. And that's better than being happy or anything else, because contentment encompasses peace.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is, it's happy being just as you are. You don't need anything else. You're not looking for anything else. You're not trying to fill a void. You're just content within who and what you are.
Well, that reminds me of Buddhist philosophy.
I'm just going by my own experience and what I have experienced, because that was the thing that I was told. I wasn't allowed to read books. I wasn't allowed to take classes. As they came, they said, anything you need to know, you just come to us. So I don't know, so I don't compare with other things.
Yeah.
This is my truth.
Yeah.
And, there again, everybody needs to find their own truth, not my truth. My truth may not be your truth.
Sure. Well, as we head out, are there any other words that they want to leave the listeners with? If they're to remember something, you just nodded.
Without the water, there are no islands. Meaning we are all one. And the water is an illusion that creates separation. So without the water, there are no islands.
That's beautiful. It's a powerful visual. You pull that water away and it's all connected.
Mm-hmm. You remove the water, then you see we're together. Yeah.
Thank you. If people want to learn more about you or have a reading, how do they reach you?
My website is lyndadiane.com, and that's LYNDADIANE.com.
All right. Wonderful. It has been such a pleasure, and I appreciate your time and you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And sending everyone out there oodles of goodness and light.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely. For those who are listening, hit like, subscribe, because it helps the algorithm on YouTube. And there are people who need this message. It is an act of generosity to promote their capacity to see it and hear it. Thank you so much.
How I Made It Through is produced and distributed by EIQ Media, LLC. Elevate your emotional IQ with podcasts and content focused on overcoming adversity, leadership, mental health, entrepreneurship, spiritually transformative experiences, and more.